happy to be here, and I hope you are too. We've got some good things going on for you today. We have people to introduce themselves to you, and we have all kinds of announcements, and we have a wonderful speaker. Oh, I'm so excited about this speaker. I've heard him on radio all the time, and he's just been a voice for me. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get to see the guy today. I'm really excited. WVXU is not just an ethereal thing out there in the car. I love the idea that I can actually meet some of these people. So, thank you for being here today, and we get to share a whole bunch of wonderful things today. Okay, to start off, we will make announcements. Do we have any announcements? Yes.
Hi, my name is Glenda A. Smith. Oh, thank you. Hi, my name is Glenda A. Smith, and I'm running for Hamilton County Juvenile Court Judge. And I am not running against somebody. I'm running for decrease juvenile detention, decrease juvenile violence, and decrease family separation. So that's something I can do because I've been working with children and families for 20 years. So I look forward to coming back in February, I believe, to speak and talk with you more fully about my experience. And you already know what I stand for. And I'll tell you how I'm going to achieve it. How about that?
What's your petition?
Oh, yeah, I have my petition here. That I need to submit to the Board of Elections because you have to have so many signatures and you always get more in excess. Also, I have to duck out a little bit early because my office is having a holiday party.
There you go.
At least you'll have some fun today.
I'm having fun now.
And then, as if that isn't enough, for the same office, we have someone else running. So here we go. Here's the other person.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me back. My name is Carrie Bloom. You'll remember I was here earlier this year, 2019. And as you heard, we are running for the same office. I am the endorsed Democrat for juvenile court for this year. And so we will be on a slate of endorsed judges, just like 2018, I guess, was the last time that we had a slate in that way. I've already been able to share a little bit about myself when I was here earlier this year, and I'm looking forward to coming back to sharing with you about the success we had in juvenile court this year.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, here we go.
Speaking of juvenile court judges, if any of you would like to help support Tracy Hunter, we're going to the Inquirer Thursday at noon to demonstrate. If any of you would like to join us, 3rd in Elm, Thursday at noon.
We're going to get that to Peter, right? Peter, do you have that yet? Okay. See our newsletter. An announcement.
Yeah. Yesterday at City Council, there was discussion about tax incremental financing. The city is interested in putting 15 new districts, almost just up to 300 acres, to blanket the city in TIFs. I can talk to you about what TIFs are afterwards, but basically they capture the increased value of the taxes for that site, and they can only be used on that site. Next week, December 18th at 1:30 p.m. at City Hall starts the public comment. 2 p.m. is the council meeting. We hope people will come out like they did yesterday and voice their concerns regarding the lack of engagement, transparency, and data surrounding our TIFs. Thank you.
There we go. And here's your official card for you to fill out for the newsletter. Okay, other announcements.
When the newsletter, just do that to me.
Yep.
Just a reminder, Monday, December 16th, 5:30 to 7, Charmaine McGuffey event at my house at 3901 Clifton. Peter has it, we'll put it in the newsletter.
Park on Lafayette.
Park on Lafayette.
Park on Lafayette.
So this doesn't require Peter to write anything down. But just to give you an idea of the amazing stuff that goes on. Last night between 7 and 9:30 at these tables, the Free Inquiry Group had its solstice meeting, and then we were offered the amazing opportunity of donating all of our food, bringing it into the kitchen, because half an hour later, Maslow's army brought 40 homeless people to sleep in the sanctuary overnight and feed them. And, you know, and they ate here as well, less than 12 hours before you eat here. So, great stuff happening.
Very nice, very nice. There are announcements. Okay, I think we're up to it. We're up to, any other announcements from Peter? Going. He still has cards, so he can still do that. So I'm going to introduce you to Susan. I want you to know, I'm wearing Susan's, she's for a delegate for the Democratic Convention. So, I've got mine, but.
That means she's promised to show up on January 7th, and if you want your own very important button, see me afterward. Okay. I have the pleasure of introducing Howard Wilkinson. Most of you probably know him from a long time at the Enquirer. He's had 30 years. He's been with WVXU since 2012, and he's been doing politics for his whole adult life, 45 years. So I'd asked him to come talk and sort of explain to us what happened with House Bill 6, and he was going to explain that, was kind of fishy to me, and maybe talk about what's going to be happening in the future or whatever.
Thank you. I'm gonna probably wander around a little bit. I was telling Susan I had knee surgery, and I'm just.
Take a chair.
Huh?
Take a chair.
Put the mic closer to your mouth, too.
Almost too much.
You pontificate from a throne like that.
Right, yeah, I don't like pontificate. Okay. It was only about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in this room with Cincinnati Women's Political Caucus and a couple of my journalistic colleagues, Sherry Coolidge from the Enquirer, Chris Lederick from Business Courier. We had a real good discussion about the election this year and then looking forward into the next year. I think Jane, you were here. Oh, yeah. Weren't you? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were firing off questions. And one of the things they talked about, and don't worry, I'll get to the issue 6 thing because that's a very bizarre story. But I was impressed by. Oh, okay, all right. There, can you hear me now? Okay. Huh?
It's the rock star.
Rock star position. Do I get to do a mic drop to the main point? Yeah, I know. Yeah, believe me, I've broken enough on the radio station. One of the things we were talking about at the Women's Political Caucus was the fact that Democrats did so very well in the state of Ohio on November 5th. And it was funny because I had everybody looking at me like I had 3 heads. And I said, no, you won. So you're on the move. And it almost seemed to me, I don't know what impression Jane had, but that some people didn't believe me. That the Democrats are on the move and growing as a political force in the state of Ohio. No, they're not there yet. Quite obviously, all you gotta do is go look at the state house, the legislature, and the executive offices, and you're not there yet. But I think they're taking some very, very dramatic steps. Some of them under their control, and some of them not. One reason is suburban women who are not particularly affiliated with one political party or the other. They don't see themselves as very partisan Democrats or Republicans. They see themselves as people who are interested in issues that are important to them, important to their families, important to their children, important to just life in general. And they are entirely, many of them are entirely fed up with the message coming out of the White House, particularly about women, and particularly in reference to women, where they see this total disrespect and a belief that we're never going to get anything out of this president or this Congress. And that is helping Democrats running for every office, from township trustee to village council, all the way up the line to governor of major states. It's, you know, people look at Kentucky and talk about how Matt Bevin lost, and he lost by, 5,100 votes. And people are saying, well, it was a failure for Trump. Trump tried to put him on his back, carry him across the finish line, he couldn't do it. And I look at that and I say, well, he's still, Donald Trump won Kentucky by 30 percentage points in 2016. He's probably going to do it again next year, something similar. Although maybe not quite so large, because some of the weakness that Matt Bevin had was not just in places like Campbell and Kenton counties, but down in eastern Kentucky where the coal country is. And he's lost a lot of support back down there in the hills because a lot of promises were made and a lot of promises were kept, both by Bevin and the Trump administration. But there's a friend of mine who's a politics writer at the Louisville Courier Journal named Joe Girth. And Joe's a good guy, and he's been around Kentucky politics forever. And he looks at it right after the election and says, here, look, Matt Bevin didn't lose because of his position on the issues. People were mad at him about the teachers' pensions. People were mad at him because he came up to northern Kentucky in the last week before the election and started talking about tolls on a new replacement for the Brent Spence Bridge, all of these other things. He said that's not why he lost. He lost, Matt Bevin lost, because he's a jerk. And it's very hard to argue with. Because he was a jerk to everybody. He alienated every single group that had supported him. And once you do that, you're finished. Now, Jim Rhodes, who was our four-term governor, I basically cut my teeth in covering politics on covering Jim Rhodes, which was a treat. Believe me. I remember as a young reporter, getting real mad at him one day when I was talking to him. I said, Governor, why won't you answer any of these questions? I'm asking you questions about issues. Why will you not give me a straight answer? And he said, let me tell you something. So every time I take a position on an issue, that's how I said it. That's Southern Ohio for issue. Issue. If I take a position on an issue, I lose 2% of the people. Now, if I do that 50 times, I got everybody mad at me. He says, so I try not to take too many positions on the issue. Matt Bevin was not that kind of politician. He didn't mind losing 5% at a time. And he did. And you ended up with just about 15% of the Republican voters in Kentucky ended up voting for Steve Beshear. Now, or I'm sorry, Andy Beshear. or Steve too, probably. But you didn't come here to listen to that, or maybe you did. Because I think it was pretty fascinating. I'm strange. I've done this for 45 years, which, as I was pointing out to Susan, was a life sentence without possibility of parole. But I thought it was fascinating, but all you have to do is cross the river and see what was going on in mainly suburban communities in Ohio. You've heard the story of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, in this election. Reynoldsburg, Ohio is a fairly, well-to-do, comfortable suburban community outside of Columbus. And it's been very Republican for many decades, and reliably Republican. And of course, they had their municipal elections this year. And they had all the offices from mayor all the way down, to the city treasurer, to all the council members, to every elected office was on the ballot. And it was all their incumbents were obviously Republicans. What do you think happened? Every single Democrat on the ballot won in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Now I've been to Reynoldsburg many times on campaign trips and stuff, and that just blew my mind. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, you had, not only did all the Democrats win, they had 3 African American women who were elected to city council, and that never happens in Reynoldsburg. It just doesn't happen. But it's did now. So something's changing out there. Places like Westerville, all you gotta do is look in this county. Look at Wyoming. Have any Wyomingites here? Oh, there we go, yeah.
We just elected our first, black mayor?
Yes, that's right.
Nadia Kaufmeister.
Exactly right. You did. And more so what you did in Wyoming was the field race for the council seats. There were 9 candidates, and 7 were elected to be elected. The top 5 vote getters were all Democrats.
Yep.
And the 6th and 7th were Republicans who were elected. Now this is a place, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, or you anything you don't know, but Wyoming is a place that when last time they redrew the district lines, they made it for Congress, they made a big deal, and this was when Gene Schmidt was still in office, of creating this little land bridge to take in Wyoming. I mean, in Amber, and it looked like a little polyp on the district, and for one reason and one reason only, because there was a lot of Republican money in Wyoming, and a lot of Republican voters too, but mostly the money. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would also add that just as surprising, there were some long-term, very familiar names and incumbents that didn't get reelected, which was very telling in and of itself.
That is always very telling, especially in a suburban community where, people have a pretty good idea of who their elected officials are and what they do or don't do. So yeah, that's very significant. And by the way, when I get up and talk in public, I tend to go on and on. If you've got a question or a comment you want to make, just pop in and we'll have, because I'd rather much rather have a dialogue with you folks. Yes, sir.
What's not the overriding purpose for the land bridge to bring all of Warren County into that district?
Yeah.
And they just chose to put it across Wyoming.
Yeah, well, no, but that was, yeah. But there was a specific purpose for Wyoming. I mean, Wyoming was a special case. Now, as far as Warren County is concerned, that was the Steve Shabbat Preservation Act of 2005. And it's going away. This will be the last election where they will have congressional district lines where they can take Hamilton County and split it in two. Yes, Jimmy?
I just wanted to make, if you want a visual representation of what gerrymandering is, just show them the first congressional district.
Well, sure,
In
yeah.
Ohio.
Right.
That explains it all.
Or the Duck, the Jim Jordan's district is.
Oh, yeah, there's another. For us,
The
those
snake on the lake.
areas.
Well, and what I'm telling you is, like, as far as the urban counties are concerned, the larger urban counties, that stuff's going away because of the new rules. They can take Hamilton County, and it's gonna be one congressional district. They might have to go back to the old, map where they had a few little places in Butler County, like Ross or something like that, added to it, but it is going to be a Democratic district, period, end of story. And if I were Steve Shabbat, no matter what happens in 2020, whether he wins or loses, I would be saying goodbye to all my friends on Capitol Hill, because these aren't going back. There are at least 7 or 8 Democrats in Hamilton County who could beat him if it were just simply Hamilton County voting. They would win. Now, it's more difficult in the case of Wentworth because there's all that territory that runs out to Scioto and Pike County and, Highland County. Very Republican districts, and it's still got that mess of Claremont County, which will keep him going forever. It's not even the Hamilton County, but the Claremont County part of it will keep Winthrop going for as long as he can go. Because Claremont County obviously is not going to be one of those counties that's going to have its own district, and neither is Scioto County, where Democrats can pull a few votes, and Pike County where they can pull votes. So the picture in 2022, even if Kate Schroeder or Nikki Foster or whoever wins, the primary, no matter what they do in the general election, win, lose, or draw, Shabbat's out. If not in 2020, 2022. Because he can't win this county anymore. This is a blue county now. Period. And it's like I told the Women's Political Caucus here a couple of weeks ago. I said, I hope you understand what I'm telling you. You should be dancing on your tables and celebrating this because you're finally making progress. Where you really have to make progress is in these Ohio House races, where you can find a competitive race and knock off Republicans. And it's very, very difficult. And you don't have the same rules that you're going to have in the redistricting for congressional districts. So that's going to take longer, and that's going to take more effort. But they can still make progress in terms of the statewide constitutional offices, the governor, the secretary of state, the attorney general, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of it depends on what those people do, this present set of Republicans do with those offices over the next few years. Democrats are starting to build a pretty good stable of potential candidates out there, a lot of them young. diverse, and they're gonna do better. They're gonna do better than they have. One of the things, like Alex trying to feel it, and I give him great credit for this. I've had many discussions with him about this. He acknowledges, yes, it's a blue county. We're at a disadvantage. We might as well write the city of Cincinnati off. He doesn't want his candidates to even breathe the name Donald Trump in 2020. His candidates are county office. Because that's not going to help. That's not going to help any one of them. Whether it's Dan Hills or this fellow Andy Black. And Andy Black told me, he said, oh no, it's not about him. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna have to say like ram down. I didn't know it was a winner. He's not gonna talk. He told me, he said, this is about Hamilton County. We're not gonna talk about Donald Trump because Donald Trump is just gonna get wiped out in Hamilton County. Period. And I think he can lose Ohio as well if the Democrats pick the right kind of candidate, a candidate who makes an effort to pick up those voters who won the state of Ohio for Trump in 2016. And a lot of those people are the people in the Mahoning Valley, people up and down the Ohio River in some of the most chronically, economically depressed areas of the state, southern Ohio. And they've seen one industry after the other, which kept them going for many decades, die. Whether it's the coal industry, whether it's the auto industry, whether it's the auto parts industry, whether it's steel, they're going away. Those jobs have gone away. Trump came in 2016 and said, I'm going to fix all that. I'm going to fix all that. I don't think they believe it's been fixed. And if a right kind of candidate goes into those areas and makes that case, then what are those people going to do? They're going to say, well, that was interesting. Let's move on and try somebody else. Because the one thing that happened, I'll be right with you on this. The one thing that happened in 2016 was Hillary Clinton absolutely ignored those people. Absolutely ignored them. Didn't bother to campaign there. In fact, she was almost dismissive of them in her speech, and you can't do that. You can't do that to people. These are a lot of people who have suffered a lot of economic distress over the years, and they just wanted somebody who would listen to them and who would at least promise to help them. And Trump did that. Hillary Clinton did not. So I keep telling the Democrats, like, when I talk to like groups like this, I know you're all split up on these presidential candidates. I'd say get it fixed quick. Find one who's good, as long as they can fog a mirror, and put them on the ballot, and take your chances. And if you want to fight about the direction of the Democratic Party, progressives versus the moderates and all this stuff. If you want to fight about that, fight about it after the election. The first priority ought to be to remove Donald Trump. That just makes sense to me. Did you have a question?
Yeah,
Oh, the woman behind you too.
oh, sorry. No.
Oh, okay, all right.
I grew up in southeast Ohio.
Yes,
And a lot of my relatives still live down there.
right.
And I would say they are still for Trump, which I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand what
Right.
what he would have to do to disillusion them. But you still see signs down there, like below
No.
Jackson, yeah, Trump 2020.
Yeah, I've seen it too, but.
How, what do I say to them that, I mean, because I don't know what to say to them.
What you say to them is, has your life gotten any better since he's been in office? Has your, I mean, the places that are changing are those areas that depended on these industries that have dried up and blown away. Now, how is that making anybody's life better? What, and ask them, name me a promise that he made to you in southeast Ohio, in Jackson County, that he has fulfilled. And I bet you they have a hard time thinking of it, as far as their lives are concerned. Yes, ma'am.
Stand up.
Yes, ma'am. Voters are notorious for voting against their own self-interest. If social issues can be used against the opponent. So abortion, racism.
We have a lot more going on in economics in a lot of these places. Even though they're suffering economically, they'll vote against that at their own self-interest for a candidate that continues the status quo socially.
Well, let me tell you, yeah, you're right. I think you're right up to a certain point. But if you're talking about evangelicals and those kind of voters, the younger ones, they don't care.
They do.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I'm a younger voter, we do care.
Huh?
I'm a younger voter, we do care.
No.
Younger evangelicals.
Younger evangelicals, sure.
How do you know that?
Because I talk to them, because I look at the poll numbers and say they don't.
I guess you do.
And they're not so much interested in that. There's a whole new generation of evangelicals coming up that has a whole different mindset than their parents or their grandparents. They're not, and yes. But the problem is, and this is what you have to do with whoever your nominee is. Your nominee cannot ignore any of those people. They cannot ignore the whole sections of states, regions of states, whole economic classes of people. They have to go talk to. I mean, at the very least, Hillary Clinton could have run Bill up and down the Ohio River. And they love it. And he can talk to him. He can talk to him. But they didn't, in 2016, they didn't even try. And here you have something like, he goes to Lordstown and says, we will never allow this plant to close. Well, I think it did. And I think they noticed up there. And I don't think they're very happy about it. Yes, ma'am?
One thing I ran up against was I was talking to somebody who said, they just don't give Trump a chance to pass anything. This was, I was in a store, and a woman who owned the store, it was a shop. She was younger than I am, and her story is that poor Trump can't pass anything because the Democrats are blocking him.
Okay.
That's a myth.
Did you, yeah, but did you ask her what specifically?
No, I didn't want to get into it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I hate to get into it. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, there is a perception among some people. But when it gets right down to it, that's why you gotta be very careful about this nomination process on the Democratic side. You gotta find somebody who can carry a message. Look at what Sherrod Brown did.
That's right.
After Trump had won by 8 percentage points in Ohio. He came in running for re-election against a somewhat suspect candidate, but he won by 8 percentage points. And if you map it out, which I have done, the map of red and blue, you know, it's almost like totally switched. He took all those Trump voters in the places I was talking about earlier, where the economically distressed people and the people who have seen their jobs go away, who Donald Trump said, don't sell your houses, because I'm gonna bring these jobs back. They voted for Sherrod Brown. Why? Because Sherrod Brown has a message. He has a message that resonates with people, especially people who are not well-to-do. They're working class folks, they're middle class folks. They're just trying to raise their families and have, you know, a decent work and the dignity of work. They want people to recognize that there is dignity in what they do. That's not too much to ask. And I think people respond to that. And it was funny because during one of those Democratic debates where you had 27 candidates on stage or something, Sherrod had sent an email out to him that afternoon, the afternoon of the debate. And he said, if you want some talking points for your debate tonight, I've got about half a dozen up here you might want to consider. And the first one of them was his ideas about the dignity of work and what it means to have a good job that will allow you to raise a family and maybe even send your kids to college. And so you can have a shot at an even better life. That night, I was forced to listen to that debate, and you know, with these thousands of candidates, and a whole bunch of them, at least a half dozen of them, used that term, dignity of work, and started talking about it. And that's when my head went. I kind of woke up and said, oh, that's interesting. And maybe, you know, maybe people should be listening to Sherrod Brown on this Democratic side. I know there's a bunch of hands up.
She's
Sir.
she's okay.
Who's that?
Follow the microphone.
Okay.
That's okay.
Well, I got two microphones here.
I just, I'm from Claremont County.
Yeah.
I call it, I say I live in a wasp nest, even though it's a Catholic wasp nest.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say,
Is there any water around
my sister who is Republican and her two son-in-laws, she lets me know that her son-in-laws don't like Trump.
there? Yeah.
But I told her, I don't care if you like him or not, I only care if you support him. And if you vote Republican, any Republican, you are supporting Trump.
Right.
And you talked about the Republican, they don't want to mention his name, but if you vote Republican, they're gonna stand behind him.
Yep.
And that's why, that is the reason, that's precisely the reason why these suburban women who are not particularly partisan are turning away, turning away from Republican candidates, even at the local level, because they won't speak out. They won't stand up and say, he doesn't represent the Republican Party, I believe him. I believe him. Okay, you've been holding that microphone forever, so.
I want to go back to Hamilton County because I'm very concerned about the quote good old boy network of people running Hamilton County.
Not much left of it, let me tell you.
From Dusty Rhodes to Jim Neal to Joe Dieters you know, the list goes on. And, you know, you don't have democratic values. They don't believe in equal rights for all people. So, you know, things need to change.
Well, I got news for you, they are. They're changing. Look, here's another Alex Trianafield story. And I've asked him this several times. I always get the same response. I said, what's your priority for the Hamilton County Republican Party in 2020? He said, Joe, and Joe. That's all they care about. Is getting Joe Dieters reelected. Because it's jobs. That's the biggest source of jobs in the county. They know they're losing everything else. And they are. And, you know, just look around you. What's been happening in recent years, you know, from AFTAB to, you know, all the county office holders, the judges that have been run out of office. And they weren't necessarily bad judges, but they were just on the wrong side. And if you don't believe that this county has changed, and that power structure you're talking about is in real disarray, because, you know, they have generational change too, okay? And you have a younger set of CEOs and you know, big money people who are a little bit more practical in terms of how they spend their political dollars. They don't just knee-jerk, okay, we'll give it to any Republican who walks in the front door. They want to give it to somebody who's they can pick up the phone and talk to them. Yeah.
I want to agree with you. I read a really important book by Williams on white working class, and she talks about the class cluelessness. I mean, 2/3 of the electorate have not gone to college. 42,000 factories have closed in the last 10 years. 6 million manufacturing jobs have been lost. There's a group with real grievances, and they need some empathy. They find incredibly infuriating the sort of being looked down as rednecks and trash and so forth. They care about, as you're saying, I mean, I just think listening to that, we're all hired. I take a lot of pride in what I am. The issue of human dignity and pride is extremely important to people who feel that they're being marginalized. So I would say any of us who want to canvass or anything else have to really think hard about our own elitist biases.
Absolutely, I agree entirely. And from, you know, you talk about Jackson County. I mean, on my mother's side particularly, well, and father's side too, really. They all came from the mountains of West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, you know, the joke is, you know, you go from, they have two big cities, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and then Alabama is in between. And it's true, because that's where my kinfolk live. I'm related to half of them. And a lot of them feel that way. Now, these are people that have a little more, you know, they have their farming, they have their, you know, some small businesses that they've started. But for the most part, people are just feeling helpless. And you can't believe them feeling helpless. You can't start a presidential campaign and expect to win Ohio anymore just by, well, we're going to win Hamilton County, Franklin County, Cuyahoga County. See you later. You can't do that anymore. Yes.
Yes, I'll be really quick. Okay, I hope maybe I can dispel, I think that little misunderstanding happened in the room when you were referring to the evangelical vote, and you said the younger people don't care anymore. correct me if I'm wrong, Howard, but I think what you were trying to say was that some of the younger evangelical voters are not as concerned about certain issues that the older evangelical voters were absolutist about, for example, gay rights.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that there was a little bit of confusion about that in the room, so I thought I might address that, and I would like to tie that.
Thank you. You want to take over the rest of this?
No, I watched it happen, and I thought I'd just.
So you're right, that's exactly right. Yeah.
That's
what
what
I meant to say.
Okay, I have that situation in my very family, so I can speak, and I'm very happy that you're bringing some words of hope here today, because every week we come in here and press the hell out of each other, and so I'm very happy to hear.
Stop it.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear some optimism. Up in Michigan, which did vote for Trump, my very evangelical family, I can look at the distinct difference in the generation of 40 and above, and my much younger great-nephews and nieces. They are absolutely, for example, pro-gay rights, absolutely in favor of, yes, of course, marriage, et cetera, So I'm starting to see a real big difference there generationally, and I think that we should, try to support that and foster that.
Absolutely, and let's remember, Donald Trump's in the White House because of 77,000 voters in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. And you cannot tell me that in Pennsylvania alone, he has lost fewer than 77,000 votes over the last 3 years. You just can't convince me of that. So there's, he lost the popular vote by 3 million votes just for these handful of voters in 3 states. He beat back doing his stupid TV show and playing golf every day while he was anyway. So, but, okay, you have been waiting for an extraordinarily long period of time.
No problem. This has to do, is this working? This has to do with what you were saying about message and what you were talking about, which is a very hopeful sign if that's carrying over. But I've told this story before, but years ago I volunteered for Acorn when it still existed before the dirty trick shut it down. And I would, during the period of George II, I would drive people to the polls, and it was almost entirely poor African Americans. And I was driving to the polls, and we weren't permitted to talk to them about how they were going to vote before, but if they wanted to talk about it after the vote, they could. And almost everybody did. And these would be traditionally Democratic voters. Almost every single one of them was voting for George Bush, W. And I would ask them why, and there were just 2 reasons, and these were the 2 messages that got through to them. They'll protect. Boy, this comes and goes, doesn't it? They'll protect the sanctity of marriage and the unborn.
Yeah.
And I would ask, so where did you get this information? It's always the same answer, our ministers.
Sure.
And when I asked them about other aspects of what the Democratic candidate might mean to them, they were unaware of them. So 1 or 2 powerful messages is pretty much enough for most people to hold on to.
Mm-hmm. But now, I don't know, the people you were talking to, were they older folks?
Probably 50 and up, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I think if you talk to some who are younger, they don't take that kind of, because that is a thing, in particular in Cincinnati, the African-American minister, getting up and doing politics from the pulpit. And they expected that. And smart candidates would stop by and make a big show, putting something in the collection plate, and get to speak for a little bit. But I'm still back to this, you know, there's generational differences here. There are new people coming up through the ranks, whether it's African Americans, whether it's women, whether it's gay, whether evangelicals, no matter who we're talking about. And that's going to change the dynamics of politics. So that you can't make kind of blanket assumptions about how certain groups of voters are going to vote. You got to go out and ask them and tell them why they should vote for your candidates. And you better have pretty darn good reasons. Yes? Oh, you next. Okay. I'm seeing microphones flying around the room.
Rotate between the two.
Okay.
So I wanted to go back to something you said about Dieters and county jobs. Just to clarify, you said that they're rushing to support Dieters, which I totally see, because it's the largest source of jobs in the county. What do you mean specifically? Do you mean in corrections or just the what do you mean by that?
It's a huge operation, okay? Not just for lawyers, but for clerks, for secretaries, for people who do filing, for the clerk of court's office. You know, there's some influence over there too, even though it's held by a Democrat now, and things have changed considerably since Abdiak came in. But no, I mean, it's the Republican Party in this city, in this county, survived as the strong party for many decades because of patronage, because they could give people jobs, whether it was their worthless cousins, or their idiot nephews, or just somebody that, you know, that lived down the street from them. And that was a powerful tool, because those people became precinct captains, those people became ward chairs, those people moved up the ranks, and the assistant county prosecutors, of whom there are many, became magistrates, became judges, and it just perpetuates itself. And so that's why it's like the biggest thing that they got left. They're just like holding on to this. You can't take this from us. You know, you're taking their almost everything else, but you can't take this. And that's why Joe Dieters is talking about $2 million. Spending $2 million on this race. That's crazy. That's just crazy talk. $2 million for county prosecutors? I don't care how big a county it is. Not that big.
$250,000 for a school board race.
Yeah, well, that's true. And that's true too, and that's crazy too. But, okay, now, yes, this fellow,
If you were a gambling man, who do you think the Dems will end up with their ticket?
Or even if you're not a gambler.
I mean, who would you predict? That's what I'm saying.
Who would I predict?
With you know, if you were betting.
It's in such disarray. I'm not going to predict anything.
I think it's going to be Biden. I think, but I'm not in favor of him. But I think it's going to be Biden.
Yeah, well, that's a good bet, but then they better be very careful about who's running is. I mean, you got a whole bunch of people out there right now running for vice president.
Yep.
Because they're not going to be president. But I got out of the predicting business a long time ago because it doesn't pay.
Who could have predicted Mike Pence?
Huh?
Who could have predicted Mike Pence?
Yeah. The only one I ever really predicted was with, in 1988, I was in New Orleans covering the Republican National Convention. And the night before it started, I went out to dinner with a bunch of Ohio political reporters. We were trying to guess who Bob Dole would pick. Or I'm sorry, George H.W. Bush would pick for his running mate. And they were all talking about Bob Dole and Jack Kemp and all this stuff. I said, no. So he's gonna want somebody who's not gonna get in his way, somebody who is acceptable to the right wing of the party, and somebody who is a lot younger than he is. And I said, that person is going to be our neighbor to the west, Dick Quick. He said, so I said, okay, let's see your money. And we put the money on the table, and 2 days later, hey, that was great. Although it didn't turn out really well for Mr. Bush. Yeah.
Can I ask,
yes, you can.
what's the machine gonna do to the candidate? That negative, successful machine that the Republican Party is able to focus on, or create, make up all kinds of stuff, and then just big blast the candidate.
You know who the best practitioner of that was in Hamilton County for the Republicans? Jamie Schwartz. Okay, let me tell you who Jamie Schwartz is. He was Steve Shavitt's campaign manager. He was his top campaign consultant. He ran an organization called the Fountain Square Group, which advised campaigns, which created all of those negative ads they ran against after that Pearl. All of them. Where is Jamie Schwartz today? Nobody knows. Because he locked his doors of his business and he disappeared. Because there was a whole lot of money missing from an account. Now, see, what I'm telling you is, their hitmen have gotten hit. And they're on the land. And they don't have the kind of organization that they used to have. They really don't. And some of the best political consulting people right now in this city are not Republicans, they're Democrats.
I'm talking nationally.
Nationally? Well, you can make pretty much the same case nationally. I mean, both sides have, smart people running campaigns. But here, you have, people like Jared Cameras, you have the Treehouse Group, which is, knows how to run a campaign. You got the advantage. Don't sit and worry about, this is my I'm a Civil War buff. I love studying the Civil War. Ulysses S. Grant, our Ohio hero from down the river a little bit. He was such a successful general. He wasn't successful in much else in life, but he was a really successful general. And he learned to be successful as a general when he stopped worrying about what the enemy was doing outside of his vision and started worrying more about what he and his troops were doing. That's how politics should work. Don't worry about what the other side's doing. Worry about what you're doing. Yes.
You're going to talk about House Bill 6?
Do you have a 30-second overview?
I better make it quick. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know the basics of it, right? No. Okay. Well, First Energy Group, they got legislature to pass this bailout for 2 nuclear power plants up in northern Ohio, one of which I used to cover when I was a reporter coming out of Ohio University. And people looked at this and said, this is a terrible deal. Terrible deal for the taxpayers, terrible deal for everybody. And so they started a petition campaign to try to repeal this legislation. which is a very difficult task. You have to have a lot of money to be able to pull it off. And like I said, I've been in politics for 45 years. But the campaign that First Energy and their allies put on against these people circulating petitions was the sleaziest, nastiest, most ugly thing I have ever seen in politics, and I've seen a lot. They were telling people that they could be arrested if they signed petitions. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's the thing about, there's some little words on you all sign petitions, I'm sure. It says, you can't, you're not making this up. You're really who you are. And they were telling the people that, no, don't sign these petitions because, well, you can get yourself arrested and do like that. They had paid people circulating petitions, and First Energy was going around offering them $2,500 if they would leave Ohio, and they would give them a free plane ticket. So just, go away, get out of here. And they were threatening the petition people themselves. And I know, I've known ever since I was in college, one of the Republican political consultants who was running that campaign. Now, I'll tell you the truth, I was surprised because I've known him for many, many years, and I never knew he had that kind of stuff in him. But this was absolutely disgusting. So now the thing is sitting in court. We're waiting to see whether or not the judge up in Northern District of Ohio will give them more time to circulate petitions. And they're still battling to try to get something on the November 2020 ballot. But if you saw, they were. Did you get any of the mailers?
The Chinese.
Yeah, the Chinese. The Chinese knocking on your door. They're gonna come, yeah, right. I mean, it was disgusting. It was racist, it was disgusting, it was nasty, it was ugly, and it was lies. From start to finish. Now, thank goodness for the U.S. Supreme Court. Because they already told us now that lying is fine in a political campaign. So you can lie all day long if you want. Nobody can do anything about it. The Ohio Elections Commission can't do anything about it. So that's the long and short of it is it's ugly. It's going to get more ugly, and you'll be so sick of it by this time 6 months from now. You won't want to hear me talk about it anymore. So.
But the bottom line is, we want to sign the petition because we want to get it repealed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't get it. I tried to call it a couple of times.
We can't right now. Not now. Because their time limit expired. They're trying to get the judge to give them more time. And then go back out into the field and try to get more signatures. Because they don't have enough now. Enough people have been intimidated by this, First Energy campaign that they didn't have enough signatures. Yeah, that's a big part of it, yeah.
What was your question?
Is that the basis of what the group was taking to the judge? Asking the judge, look, we couldn't meet these deadlines because the opposition was doing these horrible things to us. Okay? You got a pretty good case. If you're threatening people with arrest, if you're sending people mail pieces that have these shadowy figures knocking on your door at night, because they're going to come and get you. Right, executed for treason, yes. I mean, it's unbelievable. I haven't seen anything like it. And I hope to never see anything like it again.
It worked, didn't it? It worked.
Well, it's flip boat type stuff, but this is even worse. I mean, this is real stuff.
Howard, please come back again real soon. This has been delightful.
Well, thank you, yeah.
Yeah, he's been wonderful. Didn't I tell you it was nice to get the actual body here, not just the voice from WVXU? Thank you for coming. I'm so happy. And don't be afraid of signing that when it comes around again about House Bill 6. So it's just northern, it's just northern New York. Did I look at that, yeah, when I look at that nuclear power plant that's in southern Ohio on the way to the airport the other way, and I'm thinking, are we trying to keep that nuclear power plant here? That's not part of it. It's a coal plant. Okay, so it's just the two nuclear plants that we're talking about. Oh, I don't want the nuclear. We still haven't found a way to get rid of the waste, folks. It's not a good way to go. Let's vote them out whenever we've got the chance.
Quickly.
Okay, so there's a thing going around to sign up for pizza for next week. We're having the Balladeers.
Okay, I'll be here next week.
And
they're really good.
There's some salad left if anybody wants to take home a little thing of salad.
I'd like to remind you on each one of the tables is a basket. That basket pays for our rent of this room. And nothing more than pay for our rent, so please, we expect $2 a head. And I just want to kind of clear the air here. In the very beginning of the meeting, we had two candidates for the judicial race for juvenile court. Carrie Bloom made it very clear she is on the slate of the endorsed candidates. Now, mind you, every single candidate who wanted to run had to submit an application to the Judicial Review Board. When I got the email from Glenda Smith yesterday, I immediately called my friend who's on the Judicial Review Board, who happens to be my precinct chair. And he said, oh no, I cannot tell you any of the facts, but we did not endorse her. So Carrie Bloom is the endorsed candidate on the slate. It's been endorsed by the Hamilton County Dems and the Judicial Committee. So it's really, you gotta know who your candidates are. And I mean, granted, signing the petition's not gonna hurt, but she's running against Carrie in the primary. Okay? Just wanted to clear the air on that one.
On the other hand, my own feeling is I have purple hair here in the room. Some of you know our purple hair, who is a non-endorsed candidate. And my feeling is that we are the Greater Democratic Party of Cincinnati, and we should be supporting Democrats, even endorsed or non-endorsed, that they should be welcome here. And they can make announcements, you don't have to have them speak, but I think they should be allowed to present themselves. I mean, that's my personal feeling. So, I forwarded the message to Katie, because she's the one who gets people here. Listen, again, thank you to Howard, you've been wonderful. Thank you for Susan for being here, you've been wonderful. Thank you. And look, he even learned how to hold the microphone. Did you notice? He kept on getting up. Now remember, next week, not only is it the ballot here, but we're asking you to bring an unwrapped present. And I have to tell you that Jim here is a CARV person, C-A-R-V, which is Cincinnati Area Return Volunteer. He, like I, am a returned Peace Corps volunteer, and they have decided to join in with us and give presents to the refugees through our organization. So I want you to know that the CARV people are going to be giving presents to the refugees through us. So I think it's a wonderful thing. Make sure you bring a little present or something for us. The list is in the current newsletter. You got that, Jim, right? In the current newsletter. I myself am bringing a whole bunch of Harry Potter books. I know they're too hard, but I'm going to bring them anyway. And I have some other toys and things. I'm real excited about next week. So come back with some unwrapped toys. Thank you.